Hello, this is Melissa Snow here, and I have a spooky story to tell you. Well, actually, there's 15 spooky stories, so let's get into this. Ready? It says, Mom averts danger. And if I don't read it right, sorry. Sometimes it's hard for me to pronounce things and say things sometimes. So it says, I posted this on my other account, copying and pasting it here. The scariest thing I've ever happened while camping. Okay, so they're camping. I've had some scary stories about camping. Says, so I live in Eastern Oregon, and my mom lives in Western Oregon. I went to visit her for the summer, and she is very outdoorsy. So we decided to take the 1 hour drive from the city to the coast. I've been over to Oregon, you guys, so I'm picturing this in my mind, and I can see everything that she's talking about because I've been over there. We end up in this free campsite at the top of this hill, huge foothills of the coastal mountains, about 25 minutes drive from the top where the campsite and the bottom where the main road was. And we were the only campers there. Wow, this is kind of like my story and my friend. We relaxed for the rest of the day, made food, etc. A truck full of men drive up the hill and talk with my mom. Wow, that's kind of crazy. I don't know what about wasn't suspicious at the time. So she's a little sus, but not at the time, but maybe after. And they leave us. Fast forward in the middle of the night, I wake up to my mom sitting straight up in the tent. Ooh, creepy. I wake easily, so I heard her gasp, and it woke me. As soon as she saw I was awake, she pulled her hand over her mouth because I was sitting to ask her what's wrong. It was dead silence, and all of a sudden you hear footsteps right beside the tent. The little flap that covers the zipper was even moving. Ooh. Thankfully, my mom has quick wits and said very loudly, Kenny, grab my gun. Kenny is my dad, although it doesn't matter. And then he was not there. Just as girls, I previously said, they left. No harm was done. Thank the Lord for my mama. 2 girls at the campsite alone, people outside the tent in the middle of the night, and my mom pulled some badassery. Oh my God, you guys. I don't even know what I would do if that happened to me. They're out camping, so that kind of sounds like my story when I was out camping with my friend, because we were in the campsite by ourselves, and I had my dog, and then all of a sudden got a little weird when these people arrived, and then all of a sudden we saw lights in the sky and stuff. But another story here is Ouija board knocks back. Okay. It says in high school, my friends and I were messing around with a Ouija board. Of course, like everyone does, so I've done that like for 5 seconds, but I'll never do it again. So, Okay. In high school, my friends and I were messing around with a Ouija board one night. We had done it before and nothing remarkable had ever happened. We usually did it to try and search and scare each other or our girlfriends. So obviously these are guys. We all thought it was a joke. The night there was no one else home except for 7 of us, and we were all together around the board. One of the girls there wanted to try it. She'd never had done it before. Okay, let's see what this says. This time was different. The board misspelled some of the words the same way every time. Okay. Where did I leave off? The board misspelled some of the words the same time every time. It gave an answer that seemed really historically accurate for our town. Things that neither we not have known or cared about. Long story short, the spirits claimed it was a 10-year-old boy who had died on the property in the 1800s. Why is all the ghosts from the 1800s? But whatever, isn't there like all of a sudden there's ghosts now in 2024? I'm just kidding. And was buried there too, in a unmarked grave. My friend's house was on a farm in the edge of town. We were all a little freaked out because the board had never been so detailed and consistent. However, we still speculate, and we were all assuming one of us was trying to scare the rest. Finally, my friend asked if the spirit could do something to prove he was there with us. It was yes, then spelled out knock. Then the planchette stopped moving. We just all stared at it silently. Then there was a rap on the window right next to us. The lights were on outside and there was absolutely no one there. We never touched the effing board again. Oh, I don't blame you. Like, why would you even play with a Ouija board? I had a Ouija board in front of me one time, and my cousin was like, let's play it. And I never knew what that game was, okay? So we only played it for like 3 seconds and then it was done because it kind of scared me because I knew it was a Ouija board, but I didn't know that he played with it all the time. But anyway, yeah, so that happened with their story. The next story says, Forgotten Memory. Says, growing up in my bedroom was the only one that faced the front of the house and street. When I was about 8 or 9, I woke up to my dad kimbling but firmly telling me to get up. So he told her to get up and go into the bathroom and shut the door. I was annoyed because I was half asleep, but I listened apparently. I was more tired than I realized because I fell asleep in the bathroom floor. She fell asleep on the bathroom floor, he or she. The next morning, I asked my mom what happened, and she seemed oblivious and confused. I looked at my dad like she was crazy, and I asked him why he woke me up, and he denied doing it. Becoming frustrated to point out of tears, but I ultimately let it go. Okay. Fast forward to college. So she let it go because everybody thought she was crazy and they didn't do it. Okay. Fast forward to college. I was home on break and I decided to ask again. I had thought of it that night off and on for years, and still bothered me to this day. This time my dad goes, "Ha! I was wondering if you were ever going to remember that." Turns out that a lot of the house on our blocks were being vandalized and robbed all those years ago. Someone had broken into the garage and was inside my house. My room was apparently over the garage. My dad heard it happen and quietly got me to safety. Police were called. The guy ran. He was never caught. However, my parents didn't want to terrified kid on their hands, so for years they pretended like nothing had ever happened. It wasn't supernatural, but it was unsettling for sure. I'd be so mad if my dad and my mom said I was crazy and then turned around and tells me, "Oh yeah, that really happened. I was waiting for that to come up again." Oh my God, like what the hell? Okay. So this one says a Clockwork Orange style break in. Not to me, but my sister. Her husband and her had just had their first child a few months prior. Okay. My brother in law was working this is in the graveyard shift at his job as my sister stayed home taking care of my nephew. Around 2 a.m. she heard a loud knock on her back door. She went to go check it out and saw a lady banging on the door asking my sister to let her in. No, don't let her in, lady. The lady told my sister that her husband had just beat her down the street and was looking for her. Okay, this is the time where you call the cops and you keep her outside your door and you don't bring her in your house. All right. My sister was hesitant to let her in since she had a newborn in the house and didn't want to interfere. She told the lady that the best she could do was call the police for her. The lady told my sister not to call the police and let her in. Whatever. This is where my sister got suspicious. She went to get her phone and call 911. When she went back to the door, the lady was gone, of course. The police arrived a few minutes later and they told my sister that the same situation happened a few streets down. Apparently, the couple would do this and act and get into people's homes. No. I'm sure this is very common, but having it almost happen to my sister and my nephew just creeps me out. Some real Clockwork Orange shit. What is Clockwork Orange shit? This is what it's called. That's what it called. A Clockwork Orange style break-in. Am I reading that right? I don't know. Yeah, there's people out there that are crazy. Some people put baby carriers with the baby on the side of the road, and then people will stop and then they'll rob them. And then some people do knock on the doors and are crazy and do stuff like that. I'm glad that she didn't let her in, you know. That was cool. Glad that she didn't let her in the house. I still don't know what Clockwork Orange shit means. Okay. Here's one. It's called Phantom Alarms. Maybe it's something when they're sleeping. I don't know. When I was in high school, I had a lot of these experiences. At my house, my dad lived in it at the time. It was really old, but it was in the 1800s. Here we go with another 1800s crap. There was plenty of times I'd be sitting in the living room and distractedly hear the cabinets open and closing in the kitchen. Ooh, creepy. It was just me. Okay. It was just me and my dad that lived in the house. You could clearly see when his bedroom door was shut and he was asleep, but still hear it. Okay. Normally, my dad worked 7 to 3, but occasionally worked a PM or overnight shift. One night, he was working until 11, and I was 17. And at this time, around 8 or so, I'm sitting in the room playing Borderlands. I think I hear footsteps coming down from the living room, which is the adjacent to the bedroom, and assumed my dad got home early, go back to playing Borderlands. That's what I did. Okay. So they hear these footsteps, and then they think their dad's home, but he's not because he's working really late. Must be 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. I have no idea. And I don't know what Borderlands is. Sorry, guys. I keep hearing these steps, so I pause the game. Hi, kitty. Do you hear my cat, you guys? Sorry for that. I keep hearing the steps, so I pause the game and listen. And the footsteps are just slowly pacing back and forth between the living room and the kitchen. In a steady rhythm, I laid in bed, scared shitless, accurately counting the steps. Every time it took 15 paces in the living room, 15 back to the kitchen. Needless to say, I did not effing sleep that night. It said something else, but I'm not saying that. Okay. Had another situation in my mom's house about 2 years prior to this one. Out of nowhere, my alarm clocks would go off at midnight every night, and I assumed it was busted, so I got rid of it. The alarm clock? Okay. Fast forward to 2 years, my mom gets another brand new alarm clock for my room, and I'll say when I was 17, suddenly the alarm goes off at midnight. So this new alarm's doing the same thing. Okay. I thought nothing of it and turned it off, and happened again the next night. And then my sister pointed out the old one I had that did it. So I checked and made sure the alarms were set and double checked at 11:56. Sure enough, 4 minutes later, my alarm goes off and freaked me out. I threw it out. The next day was my dad's night to have me, and I had a buddy of mine over, and my dad was working that night. I have a funny story to tell you guys in a minute. He left for work, and around 2 a.m., my friend had brought over an iPad dock and listening to music on it. Didn't have the clock set or anything. My friend knew nothing of this last couple of nights, so I knew he wasn't just effing with me. So about 2 minutes later, my dad leaves, and we hear alarm clock coming from his room. I went in, and you know how if you just plug in a clock without setting it, the numbers just blinking on and off? Well, was doing that as soon as I picked it up. The clock itself, 12, and then just turned off by itself. So yeah, the effing paranormal shit, I'm not regardless at all, but I am 100% convinced it happened. So you guys, I have a story. My grandma passed away, and we got a bunch of her stuff. And I wanted this wind-up thing that she had. And she's had it for a long time. It's like it plays music and it winds up. So I was in my old apartment, and I put this by my bed, on top of the shelf by my bed. And it was sitting there for like months and months. So we were watching this story, like this ghost story thing. Oh my God, this scares the crap out of me. It scared the crap out of me. So we're watching this story about ghosts and stuff, and the little girl saying, "Hello there," blah, blah, whatever. And then me and my friend are sitting there, and all of a sudden I hear ding, 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 ding. It was my freaking grandma's wind-up thingy that she had that I took. I took that thing, tore it apart, threw it out into the hallway outside my door. Then I decided to go pick it all up and then throw it away. I never saw it since. I have no idea where it is anymore. Like, I don't know. It scared the crap out of me. Then about an hour later, we were going to bed, and all of a sudden, my guitar strings just start playing by itself, and I freaked out. So I turned the guitar around and put it on the ground to where it couldn't play. I was freaked out. But anyway, this has been Spooky Stories with Melissa Snow on my podcast. And until next time, I'll probably be wearing the same shirt because this is getting to be a long video, and I'm going to be reading the rest of it. Thank you. Have a great day and a great night. Bye.